everyone, I hope you're all doing so well and happy new year. Welcome to this oil painting and chill session, the first of 2021. I do hope you're having a wonderful holiday week, and my weekly shout out this week goes to The Art of Mona Lisa. I will leave a link to her channel below. She is an Indian artist and she's absolutely incredible, so please check out her channel. If you would like to be featured on my weekly channel shout out, please just leave me a comment, subscribe and press the bell. The painting time lapse in this video is of this painting entitled The Treasure and the Fairy. I do hope you like it. And before the time lapse, I will just chat to you about how I created it. And also, I thought I'd chat a little bit about varnishing as well, because it's a topic that I haven't ever covered on my channel. And I thought I'd go into whether you should varnish, whether you shouldn't varnish, and the varnish that I use, and also some other varnishes that I recommend that I haven't tried. But as you can see with this painting, it is created on paper. And I don't always work on paper. In fact, normally I work on panel. I don't know whether you can see behind me if I shift myself. You can know that was the wrong way. You can see that I normally work on panels because they are just the type of work that I find so easy to frame, and I just really just like the surface. I also like to work on linen canvases as well whenever I get hold of them. But one of the reasons I do paint on paper very often is because I have discovered some really great papers to use, and also I started my oil painting life on paper. And when I started painting, I had no clue which surface to use. I am completely self-taught when it comes to art. You may be able to tell or not, I didn't have any formal training. Though I did do art A-level, but I did art A-level in a very, very academic school, which is sort of like not doing art A-level at all. So yeah, I had to really teach it myself. I don't know why I didn't just look up how to paint with oils on the internet, because the internet was around, and I just didn't used to really spend much time on the internet. It didn't occur to me. I didn't even have or get a book on how to oil paint, which would have helped. And I just had some watercolor paper lying around because I used to paint quite a lot of watercolors. So I thought, well, I'll just buy some cheapish oil paints and then experiment on watercolor paper. So for months in the beginning, I was painting oil on watercolor paper. It's not my favourite paper to work on. In fact, it's probably my least favourite, purely because the ridges in the watercolour paper are quite rigid-y. It's got a lot of bumps. And so when you're painting, it's perfect for when you're painting with water because of the way it distributes the water, but the oil kind of just sits on top in a very funny way. And it also just feels rough. But some people do like working on watercolour paper, so if you do have watercolour paper lying around and you want to try out working on paper with oils, then that could be a way to start with. Great advantage to working on paper is there is no pressure to create really good art, and it's something I really enjoy, because when I feel like experimenting with a really odd or unique idea that I'm not entirely sure that I can pull off, then, you know, starting on a really expensive panel, there is very often that pressure to make it look good. And so I quite like the idea of not really caring so much, and sometimes that's when the best art comes out, because you're so free and you're not so concerned with it all going wrong, and you sort of aren't so worried about placing every brushstroke in the perfect position and all of that. And another really good thing is if you apply a really good quality oil paper, the oil shouldn't seep through. So I'm going to show you a magical thing that if you turn it around, you can paint on the back, which is fantastic, because if you're somebody who likes to work in a sketchbook sort of way, and even create your own sketchbook, then it's so great to be able to work on both sides. It's just incredible. And this is obviously really high quality oil painting paper, so there's been absolutely nothing that seeped through the other side of this painting. So that I've already started drawing on another piece that I'm working on hopefully soon, which was actually supposed to be done today, but unfortunately I failed. So that's just a brief little interlude about paper and why I adore it so much, and I just thought I'd quickly chat about varnishing. So in my secret corner here, that's not so secret. I have been meaning to varnish this painting for so long. It's yeah, it needs to be varnished. And unfortunately I haven't got around to it till now, and so I thought it would be really nice to show you what it looks like before it's varnished. I really wanted to show you what it was like after it's varnished, but I haven't got around to it. But I'm going to show you one I made earlier. This is a completely different painting, but it's all a question of the type of finish that you like and whether you actually want to varnish your paintings. So to varnish or not to varnish, that is the most important question. Shakespeare got it wrong, you see. The thing is, I personally don't believe you have to varnish your oil paintings, because if you have been using a really high quality paint, and if you've been using a high quality medium, and if you've been using a high quality surface, then your painting should be archival as it is. However, varnish is an added layer of protection if you want. So it is an extra step that if you prefer, and if you really want to sort of lock in your painting and you're really worried about it lasting maybe 1,000 years as opposed to 900 years, then you can use a varnish. So which varnish should you use? I've only tried one varnish, and so my experience with varnishes is not vast. The varnish that, if you Google which is the best varnish on the planet, they always come up with this one. It's like the first result, and this is Gamvar by Gamblin. And I have a slightly mixed review of this. I think if you use it properly, it's absolutely beautiful, but it can go wrong, and I have had some bad experiences with it, so I'll go into details. Purely, probably mostly my fault, but just be aware that this is a little bit more on the expensive side of varnishes. But having said that, there probably are even more expensive ones than this. I think the reason this varnish is rated so highly is that it is used by galleries and museums. Gamvar is a gloss varnish. Personally, I prefer gloss varnishes. I'm not a huge fan of the kind of matte look. Personally, I always think the shinier the better, but if you're somebody who likes to work in maybe abstract, you like use cold wax medium, then you may want to consider using a matte varnish. One of the perils with this varnish is that you do have to be careful with how much you apply, because if you go wild with it, which is what I did when I got it, even though I did watch the instructional video by Gamblin, which is excellent by the way, I do recommend watching that video and taking on board what they say in that video, because I watched that video and then I thought, okay, but I'll just do it my own way, and that was a mistake. Because what I did is, not on this painting, but what I did was I got my painting and I got the varnish, and instead of doing what they suggested, which is pouring the varnish into a container and then dipping your brush in and then spreading it across your painting very thinly, so that's what you're supposed to do. What I did was I went psh, and just poured it everywhere, and then started spreading it around in a sort of frantic way to cover everything. And of course some of it kind of came off onto newspaper underneath, but unfortunately, because of the liberal way in which I applied it, therefore there was basically just too much varnish all over it. Now, I personally didn't think it would be a problem. I thought because it was still a thin layer that it would dry completely evenly, but it wasn't the case. So some of it dried, some of it was really sticky, some of it is still sticky on two of my paintings. It was a disaster. So don't do what I did and wreck your paintings. You have to be really careful, apply a very small amount, and keep just applying very small amounts onto your painting. Spread it really thinly over your piece, and then allow it to dry, and it should be okay. You can do a couple of coats, or I think maybe even 3 coats. I'm not entirely sure. Don't listen to me. Look at the video. Probably 2 is enough. But this is one that I varnished properly, and you can see the colour has come out super beautifully. You can see that the intensity of the paint really shows up. It has a beautiful gloss finish. It's very shiny. I just think it has a lovely look, and also, of course, it is protected, which is a really nice feeling to have. And also, when you varnish your painting, they do look very impressive in a frame. But again, there we are. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you have any questions about varnishing or painting on paper, and I will see you in the speed paint. If you are interested in the stories behind my oil paintings, then please follow me on Instagram and I will follow you back if you are a creative person, and all my art and stories are on there. And I hope you're all having a wonderful New Year's. I had a very interesting New Year's Eve last night because I didn't go out anywhere, obviously, because here we're under complete lockdown. And so I considered what to do all week actually. And I decided I was going to cook tons for my family. So it's actually more like Christmas than New Year's because I was running around cooking loads. And I also thought that I would spy on the neighbourhood fireworks, because a lot of people near where I live, they have amazing fireworks and they always do them. So I have done them a few times, but I always get scared that I'm gonna like trip over or something and then the firework's gonna explode in my face, because I can be quite, clumsy. So I haven't done it that many years. So I instead go outside if I'm staying in, which is not often, but sometimes if I'm staying in, I will go outside and then watch everyone else's fireworks. And actually there were a lot of people doing fireworks around here, so I just basically went out and gazed at them for about 1 second because it was freezing. And then I looked a little bit at other people's fireworks around the world, obviously. That was really beautiful to see, but it was just a strange experience because it was very different to how I would normally celebrate. And I thought that it was really exciting though, in a way, because it was exciting to say goodbye to 2020. I'm pretty sure everyone will feel the same. And I'd be interested to know if anyone did anything exciting, but I feel like everyone I've spoken to has had a pretty similar New Year's to mine. So I also tried to get some painting done, but it became so late and I got really tired, so I fell asleep before midnight, which is also extremely weird and pretty sad actually, but I think that next year will hopefully be more exciting than this one. And so that was my pretty uneventful day, all summarised. And it's getting really cold here. As I said last week, I think it snowed for like 30 seconds here, and when it started snowing I thought, oh my god, that's it, we're going to be covered in snow, I won't be able to go out anywhere, it's going to be snowed in. But then it stopped after about 30 seconds, so that was a relief. And then it was just back to the standard rain, and it rains here all the time, so that's just standard. But it was kind of funny. And then I thought, if it does snow, it's unusual because our snow usually happens further on in the month. But we shall see. Next time I speak to you, I'll let you know, or perhaps you would know already if it snowed or not if you live around here. And so I do hope you like this painting, and I will see you next week. Happy New Year again, and keep up the artwork and the painting, creative work, and I will see you soon. Take care, guys.